Today, we are going to look at semicolons. A little of this and a little of that. A little bit of a period, a little bit of a comma. And we'll examine that in a moment. But first, a quick trip down memory lane. Simple sentences. We know this, but we just want to remind ourselves. Simple sentences have a subject. Simple sentences have a verb, and oftentimes simple sentences will have an object. A simple sentence must be a complete thought. It must be one complete thought. Simple sentence following our pattern is subject plus verb plus object. We also learned that simple sentences can have a compound subject. We learned they can have a compound verb, and that can be two or more subjects or verbs to make that compound. Last time, we learned about simple sentence love. When two simple sentences fall in love, they can, and they often do, spend all of their time together. So these two simple sentences see each other. I like blue the most. It is my favorite color. And they get in nice and tight and near each other. They slap a comma and a conjunction between themselves. And these two simple sentences live together in beautiful compound sentence marriage. So, today we're going to learn a very similar concept to that compound sentence, because the semicolon is the other type of connection for two simple sentences to become one compound sentence. We learned two connections last week. It was the comma and conjunction. Now it's the semicolon. The semicolon has the same function as a comma and conjunction. It separates two simple sentences. So both sides of a semicolon will be simple sentences. They can live on their own. This relationship, or there must be a relationship rather, between these simple sentences. We'll look at that relationship again after we see the pattern and see how it works. Bottom line is this: the comma and conjunction serves the exact same function as a semicolon. That's something to know. So a semicolon looks like what it does in terms of its function. A period in English grammar ends a sentence. That's what it does. A comma connects ideas to each other. So if you have a period and a comma on top of each other, which is what the semicolon is, you have a grammar symbol that ends one thing, connecting it to the next. One sentence is ended, connecting it to the next simple sentence. Once you see how it works, it's pretty straightforward. Here is our next pattern. Simple sentence, semicolon, simple sentence. I like blue the most. It is my favorite color. We can combine these two together, slap a semicolon between them, and we have yet another happy, loving, compound sentence marriage. Some more examples of bringing two sentences together with a semicolon. The ice cream truck man drove by my house today. He had big, hairy knuckles. Both these sentences are about the ice cream truck man, so there's a relationship. We can connect them together. So we take our second simple sentence, we put it behind the first, put a semicolon between them, and boom, we got hairy knuckles and ice cream. Just like we've always wanted. Another example. My aunt also had hairy knuckles, semicolon. She loved to wash and comb them using this very brand of knuckle shampoo, available at Walmart. Warning, and this is important to know, do not use a conjunction with a semicolon. Conjunctions go with commas, semicolons live on their own. For example, my aunt's knuckle hair is magnificent, comma, but I have no desire to touch it. If you were to put a semicolon here and keep that conjunction, keep that but, that would be grammatically incorrect. Comma and conjunction, semicolon. Don't intermix the two. When should I use a semicolon? This is a great question. So, use a semicolon when there is a relationship between the two simple sentences, just like when we talked about with commas and conjunctions. I gnaw on old car tires. It strengthens my jaw for bear combat. Right? So, gnawing on those old car tires shows how I'm preparing myself. It it strengthens that relationship between gnawing on car tires and bear combat. Another example. I fought the bear and won. Period. I also never kiss Plaguerats on the mouth. This one has no relationship. Just because you fought a bear and won, there's no connection to the Plaguerats. So you wouldn't have a semicolon in this instance. You would use a period. Let's do a quick little knowledge check. Each of the following sentences, there is some sort of grammatical error. There's something wrong with it. Can you spot what it is? Number 1, I love to eat mayonnaise a lot, semicolon, for it tastes like angel tears. The problem with this one is there is a semicolon with a conjunction. For is a conjunction, so there would need to be a comma here. Example number 2, Ricky ate a unicorn burger, comma, and danced the night away. What is wrong with this sentence? The second half, or what's beyond the comma conjunction, there's no new subject. So this is a simple sentence with a compound verb. Ricky ate and danced, so there should be no comma. What about number 3? The two dinosaurs agreed on who to eat. They high-fived at the brilliance of their decision. These are two simple sentences. The two dinosaurs agreed on who to eat. They high-fived at the brilliance of their decision, but there's no separation between them. Comma, and they high-fived, or what we just learned, you could put a semicolon there. Let's look at number 4. Mickey and Minnie went on a double date, semicolon, with Simba and Nala. In this example, there should be no punctuation here because with Simba and Nala is not a simple sentence on its own, so you can't have any punctuation separating it. Alright, last one. My aunt shaved her hairy knuckles, semicolon, Lorenzo lost his keys. The problem with this one is there's no relationship. Just because my aunt shaved her hairy knuckles doesn't mean Lorenzo loses his keys. Now, unless, of course, she shaved her hairy knuckles over the key tray and then under the pile of hair you could not find his keys, then there would be a relationship. But as is, we don't understand that context. There's no relationship. So that semicolon should instead be a period. Another use of semicolons. We have the pattern, simple sentence, semicolon, simple sentence, but oftentimes semicolons are used as super commas, or what I'm going to refer to them as. Use a semicolon as a super comma if you need to make a list of items that are separated with a comma. This often occurs when separating or when listing locations, names, dates, descriptions, etc. That's maybe a little jumbled. Let's look at an example to clarify. In my quest to find the world's tastiest unicorn burger, I traveled to Seattle, Washington, semicolon, Tokyo, Japan, semicolon, and London, England. If we were to simply use commas to separate this list, it might be a little bit confusing. I traveled to Seattle, Washington, Tokyo, Japan, and London, England. It would get very confusing, so we use semicolons in this instance to separate those clumps. It's a super comma. Let's look at another example. My favorite people include Samuel Slaughterjaws, a famous unicorn hunter, my Uncle Wilford, a world champion mayonnaise eater, and Nikola Tesla, the most awesome dude to ever shoot a lightning bolt at an angry peasant. The important thing with this one is using the semicolon as a super comma allows us to describe all of these characters in the same sentence, instead of describing them in a separate sentence or some clunky way. Samuel Slaughterjaws, comma, we're describing who Samuel is, a famous unicorn hunter, and then we put a semicolon there just to so we know that Samuel Slaughterjaws is a favorite unicorn hunter and not somebody different. So, semicolons as super commas are one other use for them. So that's just something as well to keep in the back of your mind. Alright, here's your homework. Write 3 sentences using semicolons about the guy on the buffalo. Watch this YouTube video. It's short, but it's awesome. And write 3 sentences using this new sentence pattern, and then write a 4th sentence using the semicolon as a super comma. That one's going to be a little bit trickier. I'll put a link in the description to this YouTube video. Guy on a buffalo. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Good grammar.